Education in the United States is a tangled web of knowledge, unnecessary laws, and dropout factories. But before digging deeper into the ideas of education in the US, we have to answer three basic questions. What is school? What is education? And why are they important? When looking for the answers to the first two questions, I checked a dictionary and got school, an institution for educating children. Education, the knowledge acquired due to attending school. Now for the third question. Why are school and education important? School and education are important for the following reasons. To teach children social and life skills, to keep children out of the hands of ignorance, and to produce well-rounded, educated individuals who will get a job and stimulate the economy. We need education if we want to fight poverty, discrimination, and ignorance. The sad thing is that even with many people with power claiming the importance of education in the US, we have a PISA score that could dictate a totally different story. According to the OECD, we're pretty low on the list, ranking in at the sad numbers of 31st in math, 23rd in science, and 17 in reading. This number varies depending on where you look. Yes, it is sad to see our country falling behind based on a test, but maybe instead of looking at this as a negative, we can learn to follow in the footsteps of these countries that scored above us, such as Finland, who came in second in science, 6th in math, and 3rd in reading. What are they doing that we should follow? Apparently, they prepare their children to learn how to learn, not how to take a test. Ever since I can remember, I have taken at least one standardized test every year. This increased to 2 when I entered high school. Here in California, we take exams such as CASE, STAR, SAT, ACT, and more. Students in Finland only take one mandatory standardized test at the end of their senior year of high school. Besides standardized tests, the US and Finland have very different teacher requirements. While teachers in California generally only need a credential and bachelor's degree, becoming a teacher in Finland is much more difficult. Only the top 10% of the nation's graduates are selected to earn the required master's degree in order to be an educator. This comparisons are competitions between students, schools, or regions, and all the schools are publicly funded. The government agencies who run the schools have educators in charge of the school system, not business people, military leaders, or politicians. Every school has the same national goals and gets teachers from the same pool of university-trained educators. This way, no matter where a child lives, the Finnish children get a good shot at having the same quality education anywhere in the country. Here are just a few statistics about education in Finland. 93% of Finnish children graduate high school. 66 go on to higher education. Finland spends 30% less per student than the US. Here's another pretty interesting fact. Finland provides a 3-year maternity leave, subsidized daycare, and preschool for all 5-year-olds. Not only that, but the state pays parents 150 euros every month for every child that they have until the child turns 17. The schools provide food, medical care, counseling, and taxi service if needed. Not to mention, student health care is free. Many in the US claim that we have little to gain from the policies and practices of Finland due to the fact that Finland's population is much less compared to the US. But when comparing Finland to the country relatively similar in size, population plays a small part. Norway, a country similar in size to Finland, has similar policies of the US. Looking back to the PISA, Norway and US are more similar in pattern of their scores than Norway and Finland. Okay, so you get it. Finland's education system is great. So what does our education system consist of? Standardized tests, dropout factories, charter school and magnet schools, vouchers, policies, rubber rooms, complicated requirements, teachers and students, corporations, and more. Every day, about 7,000 high schoolers drop out of school, and this affects our economy. According to the Alliance of Excellent Education, our economy is going to suffer a 1.5 trillion loss just by the 12 million students likely to drop out over the next decade. So if we want to fix our economy, we better start fixing our schools. It can be said that we are told that school is the place we must spend 8 hours a day in order to get an education so that we can hopefully get a good paying job. But what we aren't told is that our education is a privilege. Many people all over the world, even here in the United States, do not get the privilege of a good education. In a country that is extraordinarily capitalist, we most often do not see the benefit in government-funded services, such as healthcare, or even just an equal education system. Let's push our government to incorporate a, dare I say it, more socialistic idea to education by equalizing it just as Finland has. Maybe then we will no longer have a high school graduation rate of 78.2 and actually surpass our goal of 90% graduation by 2020.
Brand new bells will be ringing.
For every 100 ninth graders, 70 will graduate from high school. 44 will enter college. 30 will return to college for their sophomore year, and only 21 will earn a bachelor's degree.
I know that education is a human right, and I know that we're told that it is an American right, but I'm telling you from my perspective that it's not.
There's no issue that's more important than education. Non-educators tend to think that education's always going to be there if we just wish it so, and sometimes we can't just wish it so.
I feel like probably every candidate has a position on education. I don't feel like I know what it necessarily is. I would love to hear more about it.
Personally, the politicians don't care, and you know you're not going to do anything about it. You know you're not going to do anything about it.
Education is not a partisan issue. There is no Democrat or Republican way to teach that 2 and 2 is 4. Education is tied into healthcare. It's tied into crime. It's tied into the strength of households. Good education creates multi-generational success. And if we don't address that, we are going to see unemployment like we've never seen it before.
It's not enough to say we've got to have a better education system without saying what it takes. It takes money, and it takes change. And both of them are hard for politicians to talk about.
It's my future that they're messing with. This election is going to make a really big difference to me. It's the first time I'm able to vote. If it's not about education, then it's not about me.
I think there's a lot of parents like me who would say, what could I do?
We have to do something about it. We should blog, we should Facebook, we should march.
The press should be asking a whole lot more.
Those of us that influence politicians have to mount a sustained effort.
Don't forget Ed.
Don't forget Ed.
Don't forget Ed.
Don't forget Ed.
Don't forget Ed. It's possible for everyone to have a say.
Don't forget Ed. Powered by the College Board.